Prime Minister Skerritt discloses decisions from a LIAT shareholder meeting. Public Works Minister highlights achievements of his ministry for 2012 and national security at the top of the agenda for government. Hello and a happy new year to you. Welcome to National Focus. I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Jarna Hector. Stay with us as we bring you details of the headline stories and others when National Focus returns.
You're watching GIS.
Welcome back. The government of Dominica has in recent times taken a decision to become a shareholder of LIAT. In an exclusive interview with Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, the Government Information Service learned that there are a number of reasons why government took that decision. The government of Dominica has contributed 3 million EC dollars toward the refleeting of LIAT, and Prime Minister Skerritt says that government views this venture as a means of safeguarding investments made by his administration in the tourism industry.
Recognizing the importance of LIAT to Dominica's economy and also to safeguard and to protect the investments made in our tourism industry to date. LIAT is the only regional air carrier existing benefiting Dominica. And so we have invested so far about 3 million EC dollars into LIAT. And that will go towards the refleeting of LIAT.
The Prime Minister disclosed some of the decisions taken from the most recent shareholders meeting in Barbados.
A decision was taken to proceed with the proposal to refleet LIAT. And that would involve the purchasing of several new aircrafts and also the leasing of some. LIAT is also getting involved into going into purchasing ATRs 72, I believe, which are bigger aircrafts to the Dash 8s that they presently have. And the possibility of also looking at new markets outside of the region, so into Dominican Republic, into Jamaica, into Panama in the longer run.
The fleet supporting American Eagle operations in the Caribbean, the ATR-72, is being phased out at the end of the year as a result of restructuring strategies by American Airlines. American Eagle's exit from San Juan come March 2013 leaves a serious gap to be filled. But Prime Minister Skerritt is optimistic. He believes that LIAT's presence in the Caribbean is not only important to Dominica, but the entire region by extension. He says government is looking at utilizing the night landing facilities at the Melville Hall Airport on a wider scale.
Critically for us in Dominica is that with the position taken by the American Eagle of the discontinuation of services into Dominica, and the reports we have from the Ministry of Tourism indicate that about 30, American Eagle brings in about 30 or so percent of our passengers into Dominica. The question is, when that date comes, what will be the alternative options for Dominicans? And we believe that with the ATR-72, that will certainly assist in addressing the gap that will be created by the discontinuation of service by American Eagle. And LIAT has in fact confirmed with us that the ATR-72 can in fact land in Dominica at night, which has always been a concern for us, ensuring that we can make use of the night landing facilities at the airport to assist in increasing air access into Dominica and thereby increasing the number of passengers that we can bring in and visitors to our country.
Despite criticisms regarding government's investments in LIAT, Prime Minister Skerrit says LIAT Airlines plays a significant role in the region.
We have been criticized as a government for taking a decision to invest in LIAT. We believe that the people who criticize the government in large measure doing so for partisan political reasons, and they have not adequately studied. And if they have studied, they're failing to speak the truth about the importance of LIAT to Dominica. And I keep saying to us all the time that we need to close our eyes for a few seconds and think of LIAT not flying to Dominica for one day and the impact it would have on our country. Now think of LIAT not flying into our country for 1 week, for 1 month. LIAT has been with us for about 50 years. And we have seen other companies come into the region, but they've all gone under. We recognize that LIAT is providing a social service to the region, because for LIAT it is not, at the end of the day, the bottom line. It's about ensuring that we can take our citizens, our visitors to our region from one country to the other.
According to the Prime Minister, governments across the region in the early 70s recognized the importance of LIAT and invested in sustaining the airline, the Caribbean's own regional carrier. He says his government still stands firm on their commitment and will continue to assist in the redevelopment of LIAT.
In 1974, with the new LIAT being created, the LIAT 1974 Limited, Caribbean governments owned LIAT. They invested in LIAT, including the government of Jamaica. Now LIAT was not flying to Jamaica, but the Manley government at the time, with their regional outlook and their strong regionalism and integrationist policies, recognized the importance of LIAT to the region. And thereby, even if they were not flying to Jamaica directly, but Jamaica would benefit because the region would benefit. And if we're at a time when, after all of those times, we still have LIAT flying, and LIAT is saying to us that we need help in order to buy new planes in order to continue the service, we have to be mindful of that. And Dominica stands solidly with some position of solidarity and support to LIAT.
We'll bring you more from this interview in another newscast.
In anticipation of the work ahead in 2013 for the Ministry of Public Works, Honorable Reverend Blackmore highlighted the major accomplishments for his ministry in 2012. In an exclusive interview with GIS News on Monday, Honorable Blackmore first commended the staff of the Ministry of Public Works, Energy and Ports for what he calls their commitment to the cause. He also remarked that 2012 was in fact a good year for Dominica in public works developments. Topping his list of significant achievements is the Edward Oliver LeBlanc Highway, or the West Coast Road.
Insofar as infrastructural development is concerned, the launching of the Edward Oliver LeBlanc Highway, to me, was a tremendous achievement for the country, for the government. Mr. Edward LeBlanc was a great Dominican, a great leader, and of course the champion of the plight of the downtrodden. And the Roosevelt Skerrit-led government, Labour Party administration, is kind of emulating that example and that kind of leadership that Mr. LeBlanc was involved in throughout his tenure as first of all, Chief Minister and then Premier. And it makes sense, therefore, to have a very important highway in his name.
Minister Blackmore went further to list other major public works projects for 2012.
The airport road improvement, phase 1, the Kinfield to Pokase, and you're now seeing the phase 2 from Pokase into Marigot itself, manifesting itself on the ground. And I think that in itself, in terms of road work, is commendable. The Point Mutual Sea Defense Wall, another shining example of the hard work of the Labour Party administration. And you can just drive to Point Michel and try to imagine, were it not for the intervention of this administration, what you would have been driving on. And the people's life would have been in continued jeopardy and at the mercies of the seas. That is no more. And what is left to be done is to build what they call vending booth in the area of Hollywood.
The Public Works Minister noted that the design for the vending booths have been finalized and government is currently engaged in talks with the vendors about operations in order to help develop a sense of ownership of the booths. He also reminded the nation that the continued upkeep of the existing road network is a noteworthy feat. Honorable Blackmore highlighted that the Lale Coco Road was one of the most costly to maintain.
We are of the view that we still have to continue maintaining our roads in the rural areas and other parts of the country. One of the areas, of course, that was very challenging to us by way of maintenance is the Lale Coco area. That is to say, from the intersection of Macmillan's gas station, and as you traverse to the first speed bump before you take the Point Michel's city fence wall. In the main, the surfacing has been completed. What is left to be done is from the intersection of Grand Bay, going back into the first speed bump before you take the city fence wall in Point Michel. We're also going to ensure that the entrance leading to Waterhouse is properly paved.
Also making the list of major achievements of the Public Works Ministry for 2012 is the rehabilitation of the Granford, Dalis, Egliston, and Petit Savan roads at an accumulated cost of $3.2 million. According to the Public Works Minister, one of the greatest challenges faced during 2012 was rehabilitation works following the damage of the Ophelia floods. Honorable Blackmore explained that much restorative work was done thanks to the government and people of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
We suffered the worst flood in the history of Dominica, Ophelia. And it so happened that the western part of the country, more so Canefield, Massac, Mao, Campbell, and St. Joseph, were the most hard-hit area. We are very much grateful that we have been able to get the assistance again from the government and people of Venezuela, where we have embarked on a comprehensive project where we're putting in river walls and improving the road network in Maho, Massac, Canefield, Campbell, St. Joseph. That I'm very much grateful for as a Member of Parliament. And I want to put on record my appreciation for the work and the support we have gotten thus far from the government and the government and people of Venezuela.
The Public Works Minister solicited the cooperation of Dominicans for future endeavors.
Government is placing serious emphasis in the area of national security via the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt and new Police Chief Daniel Coburn both agree that national safety is important. Prime Minister Skerritt, in an end-of-year interview with GIS News, stated that while the duty to minimize Dominica's crime rate rests on its citizens, government is in fact doing its part. He listed a few positive national security moves made by government in 2012.
We have been able to invest tremendously in national security and regional security, whether it is through the recruitment of additional police officers, whether it's providing the police with more vehicles, more assets, for example, boats. One more given by Venezuela and two by the United States, additional vehicles, increasing in the use of technology. Is an area we're looking at, the construction of police stations and improvement of the police station, because we have to ensure that the police officers have comfortable accommodation so that they can carry their functions in a much efficient manner. We have built the Granby police station in excess of maybe close to $4 million. We have done quite a bit in national security. And of course, the outreach that the government has put out with the Attorney General and ministers have gone out to the communities, engaging the communities. The Chief of Police has been present. to speak to them about crime, to hear from them as to what they think are the causes of crime and what the government and the police can do with them towards assisting in reducing crime.
Similarly, the new police chief, Daniel Carbon, says a significant amount of resources is being invested by government into the police force.
The government have been funding us with a lot of training. The government have been providing us with a lot of resources. The government embarked on an initiative 2 years ago that every single police station in Dominica should have a police vehicle. And when we get that type of resource, we must cherish it. We must take care of it. Because you know, the government doesn't have a money tree, you know, as people say. You know, the funds are limited, resources are limited. When you get it, we must take care of it. And I cannot complain. The amount of training, since I've been chief of police, the amount of training I've seen government approve.
Carbon is reporting that the police force is fulfilling its mandate to protect and serve, especially in the war against drugs.
We have had successes, I must say, in the area of drug interdiction. We've been doing a lot of work on the illegal drug trade, and we have had several successes. The Marine Unit is a typical example. You would see the amount of drug interdiction the Coast Guard is doing on the high seas. And it is one area where I can say that our officers at the Coast Guard base have been doing a very good job utilizing the assets that they have, the 2 interceptors that the US provided for us under the Secure Seas initiative, and the skills that they learn during that training, they put it on show, and you can see the results.
Recognizing the importance of residents also feeling safe, Police Chief Carbon says a continued increase in police presence can be expected.
It is a legitimate concern from members of the public that they would like to see more uniformed police officers present among the communities. That has been my call ever since I became Chief of Police. I've been asking and I've been instructing, I've been ordering that police officers must make their presence felt in the communities, interact with the people, build a solid relationship, push forward the community policing initiative. And recently, within the last 6 months or so, we've embarked on an initiative where officers, uniformed police officers, patrol around the city and environs, and the schools, the state college, and we've been doing that, and that it has to continue. It must continue no matter what. It must continue.
The chief says the efforts of the police force are being assisted with the presentation of continual training opportunities for officers. In addition, Mr. Carbon assured Dominicans of the rigorous training process as well as the caliber of the recruits selected for duty.
There is no doubt that the people who get into the force are people who are educated. There is no doubt about that. There are people who get graduated from secondary school with their 6, 7 CXCs, and they are those who recruit from the state college. But we must understand that you see, they come from diverse backgrounds, different families. And a police officer undergoes 6 months, sometimes even less, 4 months of recruit training. That alone is not enough to make you a solid police officer. We need tutoring, we need good monitoring, good mentoring, and there are officers who have tremendous success coming from secondary school. I know of officers who have not attended secondary school who have had tremendous success. So that's where we are. We will be very happy that we can tap the resources from the college, and I must ask and I must tell young people that look, the police force is a career. There's no 2 ways about it. The police force is a career. You come to it, you join it, you try to be professional, use the education that you have, stay on the right track, be focused, and you achieve results.
While acknowledging the successes of the police force over the past year, the island's police chief says more can be done to improve the image of the police force.
I said earlier, and I've been saying, in the 1970s and the early 80s, the public had a lot of confidence in the police, a lot of confidence and trust. We all grew up, and during that era, you could feel the confidence. I want to bring that back, because after all, if the public has no confidence in you, you have a serious problem. And people see perception is reality. That's the perception on the ground, that we have a lot of work to do as it relates to our presence in uniform, or interaction with the public, and building our own professionalism. We have some work to do in that regard.
Prime Minister Skerritt told the nation to look out for further developments in the national security sector, including a new Calabishi police station, for which the contract has already been signed, as well as a major upgrade to the La Plaine police station. Also planned for 2013 is construction on the Special Services Unit base at Montbreuse.
The Venezuelan government has offered us also, through our negotiations with them, assistance for the redevelopment of the SSU base at Montbreuse. So the number of the buildings there, the barracks and so forth, will be redone and brought into 21st century standards, so that the police officers can be comfortable.
The Prime Minister guaranteed that Dominica can still be considered a peaceful country.
In other news, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for Public Works, has declared the Geothermal Energy initiative as the greatest legacy that the Roosevelt Skerritt-led administration could leave to the Dominican people. Honorable Blackmore expressed concern that some persons are adverse to the idea of sharing energy with French neighbors Martinique and Guadeloupe. Minister Blackmore therefore simplified the thinking behind the plan to source energy from Dominica's geothermal resource.
We have been very deliberate so far in the execution of our geothermal project. One, for matter of fact, when we had the test wells, this contract being signed, we'll criticize. The test wells have been completed, and based on the results, we are almost certain that we can get up to 120 megawatts or more from those 3 areas from which we have done the test wells. What we're doing, we have already signed the contract for the drilling of the production well and the reinjection well for the commencement of, first of all, a small plant to meet our domestic needs and to lessen our reliance on fossil fuel. The intention, therefore, is to have our people or consumers, both from a domestic standpoint and from a commercial standpoint, realize a reduction on the energy cost. Once we can do that, we can create, therefore, an incentive for companies to come in and invest in Dominica and to assist the government in creating jobs, because government alone can't create jobs for everybody. Now, that is just a small plant. We are not putting aside our effort of the bigger plant, and that is why I think the biggest benefit can be had from our geothermal development project is to do it from a commercial standpoint, where we can sell the excess to a French Department of Guadeloupe.
The minister expounded on how local consumers will benefit.
Our local consumption need, insofar as energy generation is concerned, consumption is concerned, is about 15 megawatts. Let's look at 16. Now, already we have a situation whereby a quarter of our energy generation is coming from hydro. So if we have a 10 to 50 megawatt power plant, you see we have a combination whereby we have hydro and geothermal. Do you understand that? So we spend something like 33 cents for what they call our fuel surcharge. So we can knock that off the bat. You can see how we can start to feel the benefits.
Honorable Blackmore calls the Geothermal Energy initiative a forward-thinking move that would make Dominica a leader in alternative energy exports.
But we believe that we have to be creative in the governance of this country and to try to create something where we can be the greatest exporter in the region. Dominica at one stage was the biggest producer and exporter of lime. At one stage, vanilla. And most of the countries that have done well globally, they're exporting something in a significant way. So if we can get to a point where we are now the leaders in the Caribbean in exporting geothermal, that's why I said in one of my interviews at the signing ceremony for the production well and the reinjection well, that to me will create, a renaissance, economic renaissance for this country, and that in itself will create a platform for our takeoff. So I believe that in itself has to be one of the areas that we place tremendous emphasis on in 2013.
It's been 3 weeks since President Hugo Chavez has undergone surgery, and reports have been made that his condition is still a delicate one. Notwithstanding that, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit believes that President Chavez's willpower is enough to get him through his recovery.
President Chavez himself had indicated that the surgery is going to be a very challenging one for him personally. So there was no surprise when we understood that there were complications associated with his surgery. We continue to wish him well, we continue to pray for him, and we believe that with God's help he will overcome his personal health challenges. We remain in direct contact with the Vice President, Vice President Maduro. I'm in touch with him on a regular basis, and we are very hopeful, very hopeful of his recovery. But it has been what appears to have been a very serious and delicate and surgery. And but the last couple of days, it's been reported that he's pretty stable, and I mean he's conscious. So there's a positive signs. And of course, with the excellent healthcare in Cuba, and of course President Chavez's own intrinsic motivation, we believe that with the help of God and these attributes, then he will overcome his challenges as well.
GIS News wishes President Hugo Chavez a speedy recovery. And on a lighter note, it's a new year, and you may or may not have determined your New Year's resolution, but you should at least aim to be better than last year. At least that's what I'm doing. So I think my co-host, though, has a resolution for this year.
I do. I'd like to share. Since the emphasis has been on health, I decided for this year to eat better, to look at my calories, check my portion sizes. Also, this week, I decided I will not have any starch or less starch. So that's what I'm looking at for this year. What's your resolution?
I don't have a resolution. I started, before the end of the year, I started purging and cleaning, and, so that I can go into the new year clean and free of any drama, stress, and, good stuff.
Right.
So, that's my resolution, basically, to continue in that same way.
Based on health as well.
Based on health. We can also tell you that GIS National Focus has a few new programs that you can look out for in the coming year. And
viewers, we apologize for the late delivery of our year in review, but you can look out for it in a few weeks. As soon as we have that ready, we'll have that up for you.
Coming up is the tip of the day. Since we're at the start of a new year, we'll share with you some tips for approaching the new year with a positive outlook. You can listen to the cynics and doubters and believe that success is impossible, or you can know that with faith and an optimistic attitude, all things are possible. When you wake up in the morning, you can complete the following statement. My purpose today is... Each night before you go to bed, complete the following statement by saying, I am thankful for...
You should always remember that adversity is not a dead end, but a detour to a better outcome. Focus on learning, loving, growing, and serving. And believe that everything happens for a reason, so expect good things to come out of challenging experiences.
And that's National Focus. We welcome your suggestions and comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm.
Friend us on Facebook at facebook.com/GIS News, and be sure to like our fan page. Catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube page. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Jarna Hector.
And I'm Fontaine. Thank you for watching, and here's to wishing you a bright new year ahead.